Alright, hey, it's Mike from MuckyFab. So I get a lot of questions about what TIG welder people should buy, and I just wanted to, I've been thinking about it for a while, and the requests vary, like what people want to do, in the price ranges, but I get a lot of questions about, what's a cheap TIG welder I can use, for welding or learning to weld with. And so I thought to myself, like, hey man, why don't we just do a video of how to find a cheap TIG welder. We'll review it, and I'll go ahead and order one, and when it comes in we'll check it out and make some videos of it, and at the end we'll give it away or do a raffle for charity or something like that. So we'll reduce the screen just a little bit. I have to get that little pictures on there. So there's several things you should look for in a TIG welder when you want to you're out looking for a machine, and I think that's kind of the problem that kind of chokes people up, is they just don't know what they're looking for. It's like whenever you get into any kind of specialty thing, there's a new language to learn, and there's a lot of the stuff that you might not understand. So hopefully you can go over some of that today, and people can get an idea of hey, here's what I should look for when I'm looking for a new TIG welder. So we'll just type in the Holy Grail, and Miller Y 350, and if you have an unlimited budget and somebody was like, hey, I need to buy a TIG welder, what would you recommend? Well, I think the 350 Miller Dynasty is probably the one to go with. So you'll see right here, it says Miller Dynasty 350 AC/DC TIG welder, water-cooled package. So that's it right there, man. That's got everything you'd ever need. Look over the specifications. Let's see what this has got. So I really don't like this page because it doesn't really tell me a whole lot of anything. Let's go to, is Miller's page on here? Cyber welds, all these. Miller, there we go. Possibly. Open. Okay. So so we see right here we got metal calibration. You got 120 volts auxiliary power. Have no idea what that is for, why it's there, or why am I? There we go. Whatever. Fan on demand. Okay. Lift arc. So lift arc versus high frequency. Lift arc is like an old school way of welding. That's where you'd actually touch your tungsten to your metal, and fire up your foot pedal and you lift, and an arc's initiated from that spark that's created between touching your tungsten to your metal and lifting it. Tough to learn that way. Definitely you need high frequency. You see the next one down says high frequency arc start. So basically it just uses high frequency to make kind of like a spark plug, and just jump that gap between your workpiece and your tungsten to go ahead and initiate the arc. And that's important I think when you're learning to weld, because you're not playing around trying to get your arc going. You're just pushing your foot pedal down, and it's starting. Memory's nice. It's nice to plug in the what worked well for you, plug it in. I have that on my machine, and I use it on a few things that, hey, if I'm going to weld this, I have it written down kind of beside my welder, and I just look at the number, I pull it up, and it's all ready to go. Auto post flow. So you need pre-flow and post-flow. It's kind of a nice deal, and you kind of want that in your machine, so when I hit my pedal my argon gas automatically goes and starts flowing. Another like old school ways, there's like a knob on your torch handle, and you basically turn the knob on to let the gas flow, and then you start welding. And when you're done, you just turn the knob off. Is that, like, horrible? I don't know that I would mind, if if I could get the machine cheap enough. It's not that bad to turn on the argon and then start welding and turn it off, as opposed to just happening automatically. It's nice to have it happen. These are the technical difficulties you have when you're trying to make a video. So we'll unplug the mouse and plug it back in and see if it magically appears again. Hey, there it is. So the power of the amps, ideally a 200 amp machine would be great, because that would pretty much cover whatever you want in your TIG welder, and it'd be able to do 90%, 99% of what it is you're trying to do. AC DC. So AC is alternating current and DC is direct current. DC is what your cheaper welders will have. So if you see those Chinese welders that are like 200, 300 bucks, they'll most likely just be DC, meaning direct current. So that means that it doesn't alternate current. It's just a direct flow of current, usually electronegative, DC electronegative. And you can only weld steel. Well, you can only weld stainless steels well. It doesn't really work that great for welding aluminum. If you want to weld aluminum, then you have to have the AC, the alternating current, and it does stuff. Go over to Jody's videos over on welding tips and tricks, and he explains that very well. Advanced waveforms, you can control your waveforms with this machine, and power single. So the power input is probably important to the guy at home. I think you'd pretty much want to have 220 if you're going to run a machine, and it'd be needed for a machine that has any amount of power. But I have machines like my MIG welder will do 110 or 220. It just isn't as powerful on 220 as it is 110. And the phases, you definitely want to have single phase, because if you're at home, you don't have three phase. So that's important to know your power supply. What power requirements do I have? What wires do I have running to my power source? That determines how many amps you can dig. I personally have 8 gauge wires going to a 60 amp fuse, so I can run my 210 amp welder full throttle, and I don't have to worry about my garage burning down because the wires are getting hot. It's getting plenty of electricity. Let's see some other things that we got here. Pulse. So pulse is an interesting thing, and it can allow you to do things that you can't necessarily do as well with just a regular straight current. But it's not needed. I would say probably 90% of what I do without pulse. There's very few exceptions to that and reasons why I want to do it. And if you're just at home and you're tacking up a turbo hot side or a cold side, it's not needed. And if it's there and it's not costing anything, great. If it's something you can afford or want to play around with, but don't get stuck in the ideas that, hey, I have to have all these features because that'll make my welds beautiful. That's the wrong deal, and I think a lot of people fall into that. I know I did when I first started. I got a Diversion 165, and I went out and I welded, and it was ugly and hideous, and then I thought to myself, oh well, if I had the Dynasty 200, then it would be beautiful, because I could do pulse and I could do the pre-flow and the post-flow and all these other little things, and that's not true. down the road, I learned that, you know, my welding sucked and I just need to get better. And you get better by practicing. You know, there's a few people who pick it up and they just, you know, they're awesome and good for them. But, you know, you put the hours in and you watch what you're doing, you watch what's going on, and that makes your welds better. So don't get wrapped up in all the you know, all the fancy things, the pulses and the, you know, the memories and all that kind of stuff. All that really matters is you got AC and DC, and you can weld with the machine. I like a foot pedal. Is it needed? No. I mean, you don't have to. There's instances, like say you're welding a roll cage, you know, where if you have like a torch switch, it makes it a lot nicer than trying to figure out how to knee, you know, a foot pedal. So, you know, I'm sure there's people out there that never, you know, welded with a foot pedal would trade their you know, their torch switch for a foot pedal. So that'd be the basics I'd be looking for when I was looking for you know, a cheap TIG welder. Let me just roll down here real quick and see if I'm missing anything that's important. TIG upgrade, nothing really there. Features, AC balance. You know, being able to control your AC frequencies is nice. You know, it determines how much you're cleaning the metal, and how much you're, you know, how much of an etching zone you have. The AC frequency is used to kind of focus your arc. About that, the waveforms is really advanced stuff that doesn't really matter to anybody. And you know, this is the one thing right here that makes me so envious of Miller welders, is that they have this remote foot pedal where you can just like plug this dongle into your machine and then you don't have to worry about cords. And that probably makes me the most envious of that machine. But I have a HTP welder, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like I think a $2,000 machine, something like that. So so that's kind of like the basics of what I'd look for. I'll just run down it real quick. You know the difference between AC and DC, you know, and what you need. If you want to weld aluminum, you have to have that AC feature. Understand high frequency starts and lift arc starts, because that's something you don't want to find out, you know, once you get your machine. You know, hey, I thought I just, you know, hammer down my foot pedal and I have this arc and it doesn't work, and why is that? Oh, well, it doesn't have high frequency. You have to touch it to the piece and lift up, and that's, like I said, it's difficult to learn. That's about it. You know, I look for about 100, and I think you could probably, you know, if let's say if you're building hot sides and cold sides, you know, you could pretty much get away with having about 120 amps, I would say. I'd want to have like 160. You know, that's why I think the Diversion's a neat machine, and I think Hobart makes one like it, and so does Lincoln. That it's just, you know, 160 amps, AC DC, it's ready to go. They're like $1,000. They're like you know, $1,000, maybe 1,500. Brands like Everlast and AHP do like a similar kind of thing. That's the basics. So then we're like, well, let's go pick out something. So for my first like purchase, I don't know why this isn't working. There we go. So like for my first purchase, I think that what we'll do is I'll go ahead and get just a DC machine, because it's going to be cheap. I don't know if anybody cares. I don't know if anybody cares to watch this video or follow along or anything. So I don't want to spend a ton of money on a machine that I don't need. So I'm just going to look for something that's DC. That way you can do, you know, your mild steel, you can do stainless steel, and that's a pretty good start. So I think what I'm going to look for is high frequency, and to know that I have that about, you know, 150, 160 amps. So we're just going to go to eBay. You can go to Amazon too. I'm just not really familiar with it. I was kind of messing around on there. Let's say TIG welder. DR. Enter. But those couple of machines like on Amazon, like clicked on because they seem to be cheap. So I hit yeah. And you know, this like weird like message popped up that says like, please contact me before buying, and that kind of turned me off. I was kind of like, yeah. Don't know what's going on. So, you know, always read all the details, but there's a lot you can discern from just a picture on stuff. I'm losing my mouse again. I don't know what's going on with my mouse. I think it's because I'm trying to run this split screen feature, and and I got kind of an old laptop. So 200 amp TIG machine, DC inverter. You got 110 volt and 120 volt. So let's open that up in a new tab. That doesn't look too bad. 260. I mean, that's pretty cheap, right? I think my internet's decided to give out. Of course, right in the middle of me making a video. But that's what happens when you live out in the country. Come on, internet. You can do it. If I stop this. Okay. Okay, so like I was saying, you can get a lot from the picture, you know, just looking at the picture. You'll see we got a torch. You see it's got the gas knob, that little twisty knob right there, and it's got a handheld on-off switch. So there's no foot pedal there. That kind of sucks. That was 250 bucks. It's got a grounding clamp. Man, I really wish the internet would work. Is it okay to have a meltdown when you're making a video? I guess it'd make for good comedy. Baby, why isn't the internet working? Nah, I don't know either. The following page has become unresponsive. That's great. Alright, so let's try to refresh and see what's going on. Okay. Try it again. So, grounding clamp is, they all pretty much look like this, cheap. And hey, they even throw in some welding rods and some tungsten that looks like a thoriated, and some torch parts. So, let's look at the faceplate here. So it's got TIG and stick and whatever. So I tend to think that this might be a lift arc instead of high frequency. Welder, copper chrome, let's see, full size, outperforming arc, duty cycle, optimizes, holder, welding power source, and there's nothing about high frequency in here that I'm seeing, so it's probably a lift arc, and that's no fun, so I'm not really interested in that one. If it's under 100 bucks, it is probably garbage, but maybe we'll do a review on one of those later on. Let's see, we got 180 amp MIG can weld aluminum 3-in-1 welder, TIG stick, dual voltage welding for 600 bucks. So that's interesting. Like I said, I'm looking to just do like something kind of cheaper, like right now, because when people contact me, they usually are like, I want to spend less than $600. $279 for this guy right here. And because it doesn't have a foot pedal in there, makes me kind of wonder. But it's dual voltage. I really like those on-off triggers like this on the torch, and it doesn't look too bad. So the face, let's see, power, got MMA. I think that's like mixed martial arts or TIG. That's awesome. And torch, let's read the description and see what it says. Let's see, the direct code is rectifier adopting in most bands where of course straw is contract is stable. The stick, the workpiece, response, easier difference, okay, blah 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 blah. Dual voltage, so you got dual voltage, DC stick, and DC TIG enabled by high frequency arc technology. So I like that. So HF stands for high frequency. So we don't get a foot pedal, but we get high frequency starts, and we get that for the low price of 280 bucks. Do I have to pay shipping? There's free shipping too. That's a pretty good deal. So I'm going to leave that one open and search a little bit more. 200 DC. Come on. That one looks really bad. Stick. Okay, welder, current, pulse, frequency. It does have pulse, like 0.1 to 0.9. I'm not really sure what that means. Pulse width ratio. Quick strike mode, scratching, arc striking, high frequency arc striking. So it does have high frequency. Interesting. There's shipping charge on this guy. Free shipping. Try to look at the torch. I can't really. It doesn't really have a good view of the torch. I don't know. It's interesting. It's cheap. 200 amp, 301 stick, dual voltage welding machine. Okay, so that's just like the other one that I had open. It looks like. Lincolns are nice. They're out of our price range. Smaller 3-in-1s. So that's kind of expensive. These look just like the Harbor Freight ones, which they probably are. And longevity, it's kind of pricey for 140 volts. I don't know. Lincoln, some Miller. You can't go wrong with those Miller diversions. They're really good learning machines. And Miller Dynasty, it's only $7,000. Primal. You know, I kind of looked at these guys' stuff, and it was kind of interesting. And when we get into aluminum, I really kind of think that this might be the one I get to review because it's only like 650 bucks. I think they had them on Amazon a little bit cheaper, but again, it seemed like some of those Amazon ads were a bit sketchy. So that's an interesting one to look at. Or electronic 200 amp DC inverter. That's definitely going to be lift arc, and I think this is the same. These are really good, these AHPs. I had someone stop by, and they wanted me to show them a little bit about TIG welding, and they just bought one of those machines for like 700 bucks, and it was as good as my machine, if not better. I didn't like the foot pedal on it, but it was a pretty decent little machine. So I like their logo. But I don't know if it comes with anything. Does it come with anything? Ground clamp, I can't tell. Technical data. Uh-oh, I just messed up. How do we get out of this? Get later. TIG, blah, 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 blah. Efficiency, insulating. It doesn't really tell me anything about the machine. Gas cooled, thumb control, gas switch. High frequency TIG art, starting striking easy. Okay, so it does have high frequency and it's dual voltage, and it comes with pretty much everything. It does have like you have to turn on the knob to start the gas, but that's, like I said, that's not the worst thing in the world until you actually forget to turn the knob off and you walk away and you come back and all your gas is gone. But you know, it's just something to keep an eye on. Interesting. So I might just leave that one open. Wish it does it have a picture of the faceplate? I wish it did. Ah, there it is. Okay, so you just got TIG or stick, and then like your amps. You know, it's kind of simple, and I think that that little two-prong device there in between the ground and the power and the gas is for a foot pedal, and I have seen where you can buy these two-pronged foot pedals for these machines. How many amps was this thing? 200 amps? Wow, that's really not a bad deal, you know, for 200 and basically 300 bucks. I have to pay shipping, no shipping. So that's not a bad machine either. So we got the yellow machine, which is CR or CIR or backwards DR. I'm not really sure. And we got this little guy. I'm really not a big fan of that, so I'm gonna get rid of this. Well, these two so far, pretty decent looking machines. Is this the Madre? Sunrise. Sunrise. I like that. It says USA plus helmet. I'm not really sure if they're trying to say that this is actually made in the USA. Because I can assure you that's not the case. Okay, so that's just on or on. How much is it? $279, and doesn't really tell me much there. It's only 200 volt or 240 volt. High frequency, stable. Okay, so yeah, interesting. And it comes with a helmet. So it's like basically a Harbor Freight helmet. It kind of looks like a Harbor Freight machine. And that is 280 bucks. So it looks like about 280 is like the entry level point on these guys. And we'll maybe do this page and one more, and then we'll kind of make up our mind and figure out what we want to buy. 80 amp, 3-in-1. Well, that's interesting. 180 amp, 3-in-1 with a MIG welder, and it's AC/DC. But it's kind of implying there to me. So another interesting thing is this duty cycle, and that's like in a given time frame how much it will cycle work at whatever percent voltage. This like says 60% duty cycle at 100, so it's supposedly 180 amp machine. So it's saying that let's say you took 100 minutes, it would be 60 of those minutes it would run, and it would be down for 40 of those minutes, and that's important, you know, consideration to make. You know, if you're trying to figure out, like, you know, hey, is this going to do whatever job I need it to do, you know? And I'm also, to current rate, I'm not really seeing where it says that it does actual AC welding. Maybe they're implying that you can do, aluminum MIG welding with a spool gun or something? One aluminum spool. Oh, okay. So that's garbage. I mean, it's okay for what it is. These modern machines really interest me. with the plasma in it, but this is only going to be a DC machine because I actually looked into them a little and actually contacted them. And they said, no, it's not an AC machine, it's only DC, so that doesn't really do anybody any good. If that was an AC DC machine with a plasma cutter for 600 bucks, that'd be worth checking out for sure. We got DC inverter, stick welder, yeah, we don't care about that. Old synchro you can't go wrong with those, but they are pricey. These Lotuses are interesting too. I think you get a lot of machine. And someone actually commented on my Facebook page. They said, you know, he bought one, I think an AC/DC with a foot pedal, and was pretty happy with it. So that's an interesting machine to look at. Plasma cutter. All right, 160 inch. Look at it's like 400 bucks. I mean, you can get a lot better, a lot more machine for less. This is a Lotus plasma cutter. Yeah, we looked at that one. It's kind of rubbish. 200 amps DC. Nothing really exciting there. So I'm kind of looking at the photos too, you know, to see if there's anything that's interesting. If I find one with a foot pedal, I would be excited because, you know, that would be a good start. These Everlast machines, I think, are pretty good machines. I have a friend of mine use that and make beautiful welds. Tin Soldier race cars. Damn, names escape me right now because I'm horrible with names. But super good guys up there in Kentucky making beautiful chassis, and they start out using this machine here and just lay down gorgeous welds. Ooh, disco lights. It's got disco lights? My machine doesn't have disco lights. These are pretty cool and interesting, but they're lift arc. They're not lift arc. They're not high frequency start. TIG feed wire welding machine. I don't know what that means. Sometimes people will post these, you know, if they're posting, you know, and they're just selling product, they don't have the first clue about what it is they're selling. And you'll see some odd things listed. So, you know, it's like buyer beware. You know, you need to know what it is you're looking for to ensure, you know, that you're not getting screwed. It's on you as much as it's on the seller. Clutch, good old Northern Tools. And I've seen this in my welding store. I have an air gas that I get my tanks refilled at, and they're selling these guys. Lincoln Electric. It might look like a foot pedal, but it's actually a mask that you hold in front of your face, like mad Chinese welding. So pay attention to the photos. Don't assume anything. Man, TIG, Pulse, PFC, pretty fucking cool. Inverter, DC Pulse, TIG. All kinds of cool stuff there. Let's open it up and take a look at it. So I hope I'm not boring you guys to death. This is just my mind, what I'm thinking as I'm looking at stuff, you know. I'm shopping, I'm thinking out loud, I'm looking for goodies. Like this might be interesting if it was a foot pedal for 500 bucks. I mean, and like I said, like you can add a foot pedal if, you know, some of these guys have like dills on the front of them. See, they got like the thing you need to look at covered, so that doesn't really do us any good. But like I said, if you've seen those like two prongs, I think I've seen on Amazon where they have foot pedals for those two-prong Chinese welders. Where are we at? Over here, Lotus. I don't know. I wish I could find like those Lotuses with the foot pedal. Let's try Lotus TIG welder. LOTOS space enter. Lotus. Like the locust. Plasma. Lotus. AC, DC, aluminum. That's not a bad deal. I mean, but you know, for $100 more, I can get that AHP yellow machine, and I know it works. Maybe Lotus wants to send a machine for us to try out. $600. They have any like cheap, just DC only? DC TIG, dual voltage. I don't really see anything super exciting here. Plasma cutter. And just a lot of the same. Lotus TIG stick, 200 amps with foot pedal power, yeah, but it's $500. I don't feel like spending $500. It looks like, oh, there's some cheap stuff. What is this? That's the same thing, 140 amps. 140 amps isn't bad, but I mean, we've got these other ones that are showing up like 200 amps. So, I don't know. This also shows my indecisiveness when I'm looking at stuff. Electric TIG 2-in-1 IGBT, which stands for something, I bet. And we got a TIG torch with a sheath around it, 230. We got the pancake Japanese welding mask. Ground clamp. I do like those little trigger finger deals. You know, they all kind of almost look the same. They're probably all coming out of the same factory in China. I don't know. So, anyway, I'm probably going to buy one of the 4 up here, and you'll just have to stay tuned to figure out which one I buy, and we'll do a review on it, and I'll probably use it as my primary welder. Plasma cutter. We'll do one more page, because my eyes are getting heavy. I'm full and tired. School's wiping me out. Getting up early to work is wiping me out. These pit bulls are wiping me out. Three in one. Now you look just like Harbor Freight. Too expensive. Already looked at that one. ESOB. Check out that old Miller. Yeah, that's badass. Zesty? What? 2-in-1, 200 amps. I mean, it looks like all the other ones. Aluminum, it's like $1,000, $1,500. CK. Oh, I heard they were coming out with the machine. Madre. Look, for $350, I get 200 amps and TIG DC inverter machine. Let's see, what do I get? I get the old, this is like, I guess like in Europe, this is kind of like the standard, is like these hand torches with these little on-off switches. We get gas line, we get a ground clamp, we get a stinger that no one will ever use. We get knobs of some sort. Can we see what the knobs say? Down slope, current, post time. I'm not really sure. So, I mean, if it was a pulsing machine, and I see it's got like little pulse thingies on that switch right there. But I don't know if it's just pulse on or pulse off. Maybe it's, I don't know. I really, like I was saying earlier, I don't use pulse much. Is it worth an extra, how much is this? $350, and these guys were like all $230, like 300, so it's like 50 more bucks. I don't know. Is it high frequency? Baby, them tacos smell delicious. Inverter, high frequency. You know what? I think this is one we're gonna get. Quite possibly the one we're gonna get. Can I get a pedal? Is there shipping charge? Free shipping. So $350, I get this thing. It's got some pulses, some shit. It's probably mislabeled, to be quite honest. Sometimes stuff gets lost in translation. But for 50 bucks, you know, we get a pulser, and we get this goofy. It's probably like a number 17 torch, and you can swap those out usually. So there's a way to unbolt that and like swap it out like a regular like CK torch or one of the name brand American torches. And there's probably a way to even hook up a foot pedal to this. I might need help. I might reach out to my Amazon experts and say, like, how do I find this? But hey, I think I've been rambling on for like an hour, which is way too long. But anyway, those are the things I'm going to look at when I buy a machine. 220. What's the duty cycle? They all say 60%. They're not 60%. They're like 40%. They got it backwards. Loss. Customer needs to install 200-volt power plug. So it'll come without a plug, and that's not a big deal because all my shit comes without plugs. I have to put them on there, which is fine because there's make like 20 different 220-volt plugs. I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. And alright, we're going to go with this one. We're just going to do it. And I'll do that offline because I don't know enough about computers to know if you guys can like see what I'm doing and hack into my screen stuff and buy stuff on my account or not. I don't know. So I'll go ahead and stop this video, and we're going to be getting the Samadri 200 amp TIG MMA Pulse DC inverter welding machine. And we'll give it a review, and if it lasts the review, then we'll do something with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed like looking, try to figure out what do I need in a TIG welder. What are the key features, the AC/DC, the high frequency, the voltage, and having an understanding of those things and how they work and why you'd want those things in a machine, and how cheap can you really go on a TIG welding machine. Well, we're going to find out if $350 is going to be enough to get the job done. So we'll get that ordered up, and you guys stay tuned for maybe like an unboxing video and reviews on the features and all that good stuff. So again, as an owner and sole proprietor and sole employee of Monkey Fab, I appreciate you guys' support, and I appreciate you guys hit me up with questions about stuff or ideas for stuff you need. That's all gravy to me, and I wouldn't be doing what I was doing if it wasn't for my end users and the followers on my page. So I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the video. And now I gotta figure out how to end it. Let's go outputs and stop local recording.